Assistant Superintendent Bogus, want to stand up and show us what the cover of Gentleman's Quarterly for January should look like? No, stand up. You and Mr. Tierney are going to have to be, in competition for that. Yeah.
GQ stuff, man. Absolutely. Okay.
President Manuel, you have a report for us tonight.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. In past meetings, I have continually mentioned a proclamation that I would be bringing to your attention at a later date. Attached to my report today, you can see the proclamation that was passed on November 7th, 2019 by all present Palm Beach County High Schools at our November County Council meeting. It was proposed by Wellington High School and agreed and voted on to be brought to the attention of the school board. I've been working with Mrs. Bass to have it prepared for you all. Its basis is on the implementation of biodegradable lunch trays throughout all of Palm Beach County schools and in replacement of styrofoam lunch trays. I'd like to ask that Dr. Fenoy can consider this proclamation to be brought back to the board at a later date. I am fully prepared to take part in any venture that is involved in bringing this proclamation to light. In response to the conversation regarding the cap and gown discussion from past board meetings, I reached out to the 4 other schools that are still traditionally using 2 gown colors at graduation. Unfortunately, we have not had a Palm Beach County Student Council meeting since the discussion with the board. At our next meeting in April, we do plan to have it on the agenda. My advisor has contacted the SGA advisors via email of the 4 schools that still have 2 gown colors at graduation, requesting that they begin the discussion amongst their SGAs and student bodies in their opinion of having 2 gown colors. We have requested a response from those schools by the next board meeting on February 19th. Although I cannot speak on behalf of all the schools in our county at this time, I can highlight the initiative that Royal Palm Beach High School has taken in addressing this conversation, seeing as we are one of the 5 schools left with 2 cap and gown colors during graduation. At Royal Palm Beach High School, rightly or wrongly so, it has been a non-issue in the eyes of the students. Royal Palm Beach students have been silent and ambivalent regarding this discussion. However, in light of these conversations, Royal Palm Beach High School has conducted a vote among seniors to choose 1 gown color, which would be teal, or 2 colors, black and silver. Our seniors have voted for the traditional black and silver cap and gowns. Our principal, Dr. Jesus Armas, says that Royal Palm Beach High School's vision of excellence calls for us to maintain a socially just environment. In keeping with that, and because our administrators have always been sensitive to gender self-identification, we have never taken a hard stance on color choice, thereby denying students from selecting their colors. However, we do recognize that not all of our students are completely at ease with this decision-making process and decided that we should seek alternative ways to determine cap and gown colors. Seniors at Royal Palm Beach High School have already been given the option to choose their gown color regardless of gender self-identification. It is understood that the entire senior class as a whole may not appeal to a select few. That is why from now on, moving forward, all graduating classes will receive a new senior privilege of choosing what color gown they wear as a whole. Students will be able to decide if they want to wear a black or silver gown regardless of individual gender self-identification. There will be boys and girls in both gown colors in this year's graduation. With this, the gender norms are being dropped, allowing the students to choose the color they would like to wear, respectively. To wrap up my report, I recently began planning a new project in conjunction with Ms. Janine Rizzo from the School Food Services Department with the school district. She is partly in charge of all student wellness activities. She came to me wanting to make an impact on students in the area of wellness. We have created a plan that aims towards physical wellness, nutritional wellness, and mindfulness and empowering stations. Our goal is to implement those forms of wellness in school life, focusing on physical and mental health and a socially just environment. Royal Palm Beach High School will act as a model school for this project, later proposing the idea to other schools in our county, reaching towards a county-wide initiative. Once RPBHS has finalized their plan for this initiative, I will update each of you on the progress of this project. Thank you for your patience in hearing all that is going on with the students in your districts.
Thank you. Great job, Mr. President. With respect to your resolution, I've spoken to the superintendent and the general counsel, and we think that the best way, since we now are allowing you to participate, which we probably should have done years ago, but if you have something, since you can't put items on for board discussion like the rest of us, if you have something like this resolution that you'd like to get on for discussion, if you would submit it to the board clerk will then discuss it with the board chair and the superintendent so that we can get it on the next agenda that's possible, and that would give the administration time to get backup materials. For example, on your resolution, and obviously there's some costs involved, so the superintendent would have to figure out how much that would cost us, and so we can be properly ready to discuss your resolution when it comes up. So we will put that on the agenda for the next meeting, February 5th. So if you would like to attend that meeting on February 5th, I know that's not one of the meetings you typically, but you're welcome to come and we'll discuss it that evening. So if you can come on February 5th, it'll be on our agenda for that evening. In the future, if you have items you'd like to bring up for board discussion, if you, again, submit them to the board clerk and then they'll go through the process so we can get them on. Okay? Thank you. Audit Committee, is there a report tonight? Only in writing. Construction Oversight Review, is Mr. Doctor here? Yes.
Good evening, Chairman Barbieri, board members, Superintendent Fenoy, and staff. My name's Lou Doctor. I'm a member of your Construction Oversight Review Committee, and I'm here to give you the results of our January 16th meeting. In terms of Cork membership, we currently have 12 positions filled. We now have 2 open positions, so we'd obviously like to encourage you to work with us to get them filled. There were 8 Cork members at the beginning of the meeting. 1 Cork member arrived in the middle of the meeting, so there was an adjustment of vote to come to 9. It wasn't a clerical error, just to clarify that. In terms of the consent agenda, the facilities construction portion of your agenda tonight has 6 items on it. It represents about 146 pages of backup material. The first item, FC1, is contingency and change order approval, and that was voted to go forward by a motion of 8-0. In terms of FC2, Roosevelt Middle School, CSIR Bankment Repair, FC3, order Osceola Creek Middle School, re-roofing, FC4, Glade Central High School elevator and sump repair. Those 3 were all recommended to go forward. They're all completion of tasks, and this wraps up the money and all the terms and conditions. They're finalized jobs. FC5 is Citrus Cove Elementary. That's what we call a sales tax upgrade that was approved by 8-1. That's picking up items that we didn't do before because there weren't sufficient funding to do a complete job. So it's added scope that we already knew about, and now it's been funded by your appropriate committee, and this is the activity to move forward. And FC6 roof ceiling, it was a change approval, and it was closed out. So all those were accepted without any issues. In purchasing construction, we had a backup of 732 pages. I just mention that only because we get a lot of material that supplements and explains exactly what's going on. And the committee, therefore, doesn't have many questions to ask because we get a very thorough package from your staff. PC1, construction, purchasing construction, 1 new vendor was added and 3 renewal vendors were added. Vendors have to renew after 3 years on our approved vendors list. And that was approved to go forward by a vote of 8-0. PC2, construction management at Risford Jupiter High School. It's a modular classroom addition for 600 students. Those students already exist, and this resolves the overcrowding in the school. It doesn't add any more population to the school. The staff was requested by Cork to review future student needs within the area. In addition, Cork wanted to note Chris Garrison and her staff have done a great job in planning for school district needs in terms of anticipating space and making sure it's available when it's needed. And that motion was to go forward by a vote of 8-0. PC3 is construction manager at risk for Wellington Elementary School. That was removed from your agenda tonight. Cork had a lengthy discussion and requested staff review some of the elements of cost that came within it, and staff decided to withdraw it from the menu so they could follow up on Cork's suggestions, and we expect that'll come forward on the next meeting, so there was no vote for Cork on that one. PC4 is design services for Citrus Cove Elementary School core expansion. Cork questioned the limited scope of work that was defined in the architect's contract. We felt that the definitions were insufficient to make a judgment decision whether we should go forward. Cork explained that the negotiating documents contain the information that we were looking for, and Cork felt it would be helpful if that was added to future jobs. Cork recommended that it go forward by a vote to 8-1. The one vote was the fellow, one of our fellows felt the data should have been included in it. There is a precaution there that Cork has obviously no intention of looking at or seeing information that might be confidential between purchasing and the vendors. There's one more detail on the backup. And then the final one, PC5, was Delray Full Service Remodeling. That's design services. That went forward on consent. There were 3 discussion items that I wanted to mention briefly to you. Cork recommended or elected Dave Porter as our chair for 2020 and Virginia Farris as the vice chair for 20. We understand the policies and procedures are being revised. There's some differences between them that's being worked on, so rather than be an error in not having our people in place, we decided to vote to elect them, and the policies and procedures will surely be worked out. And the second one was Cork requested a discussion of the K through 8 choices by the school district and any academic evaluations of the success of that model. We recognize that not all elementary schools are having K-8 added, and some middle schools are being added with just the three-year term. So Cork wanted to get a better understanding of the philosophy behind it. And finally, staff presented an overview of where they are in terms of the construction projects. They give us an excellent overview of what's been completed, what's in process, and what's planned. They're doing an excellent job. We talk about individual pieces at this meeting, so it's very difficult to get an overview of everything that's going on. But they've made excellent progress over the past summer and fall, and they have good plans in place for the rest of this year. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Doctor.
Thank you.
Take us to elected officials and delegates. We have 2.